Without further ado, I'm going to now introduce my husband and our next Congressman, Flynn Broady.
Did I make the right choice?
Yeah.
For those who don't know me, my name is Flynn Broady, and I'm running for Congress for the 11th Congressional District.
Yeah.
The reason I'm running is because I want to change the narrative of what we hear coming out of Washington. You heard my first cousin, who was also a valedictorian of Phillips High School. You heard my wife, and so you heard a lot of my passions, a lot of my background, a lot of the things that are important to me. But let me tell you why I'm running. My military service has taught me something, that when you're put in a position where there's doubt, where you're the underdog, where everybody's counted against you, you just have to pull up your bootstraps, take one step into the fire, and keep on going. Your faith will take you all the way through. And it has proven that for me all my life. Even when I was in combat, I did some crazy things. And I wish some of my soldiers were here to tell you that. But it was always with the thought that God is going to bring me through it. And if this is where he meant for me to die, then that was his will for my life. But he kept pushing me through. The fourth phase is burial at Arlington. And believe me, I've given her explicit instructions for where I want to be buried. And like she said, ever since I was about 7 years old, I had always wanted to join the military, I always wanted to serve. Getting out of the military, having a family, never entered my mind. But at some point in time, I came to the thought that, hey, I'm going to leave the service. So I got to start preparing to do that. And that's why I continued my education. I was lucky enough to graduate from Austin Peay State University with honors. I graduated from Seton Hall Law School. And I even came here and graduated from Kennesaw State University with a master's in public administration. All of those things have prepared me for what I'm seeking now. And that's an opportunity to be your voice in Washington, to be the one that when you have issues, when you have problems, you come and talk to me and I try to solve those problems. I've always been a problem solver. My whole life as a military, I've been a builder, not a fixer, a builder. And there's a difference between a builder and a fixer. A fixer plugs the hole. A builder builds the dam so it doesn't break. And that's something we need to understand with our Congress. Right now, we've gotten to the point where whatever the biggest headline is the thing we're trying to fix. We're not building a future for our kids. We're not building a future for the elderly. We're not building a future for the middle class. We have to make sure that the things that we want, we're preparing right now to make those things happen. And it's pretty simple. And I'll give you a good example. Me and my wife, I've always wanted to work and live near the square of Marietta. I showed her this beautiful house. She fell in love with it. I didn't think she was going to do that, but she did. Because I wanted to go a little bit lower on the price than she did. But like any good husband, I did all the hard work to give her what she needed. And this is going to sound funny. For those who are religious, you'll understand. We heard this sermon where they talked about building an altar where you want to be. Not where you are, but where you want to be. So literally this empty field, every Sunday, we would go to that empty field and we would pray. We would pray for what we wanted. The beautiful house, the exact house, everything. We got a call one day that said, hey, you put your name on the interest list, come talk to us. So we went over there and talked to them. Can you believe that the house that they wanted to sell us was right there adjacent to where we parked every Sunday and prayed? Everything that we wanted in the house, we were able to get in the house Even the little pillow talk that we had at night before we prayed, God provided those things too. When you have faith, nothing is impossible. Now let's roll back a couple of years. I was a recruiter in the Army for a little bit. They asked me to take control of a station. Now the station was in the middle of nowhere, was the worst station in our battalion. And every single person that knew I was going, except for one, told me, don't go there. It's a career killer. You'll never do good there. It's not the place you need to be. There was this one Sergeant Williamson. Sergeant Williamson said, Broady, wherever you go, people are going to accept you. Wherever you've been excellent. Whatever unit you've taken hold of, you've made them better. His encouragement encouraged me to go. So I went. We took that station from the worst in the battalion to the second in the battalion. And everybody was like, how did they do that? Well, we pulled up our bootstraps and we worked, and we did that. Well, let's roll up to today. We are in a red district. Bartow and Cherokee County are notoriously red districts. We have talked to the people in both Bartow and Cherokee. They are amenable to change. They are willing to follow someone who is willing to lead them, to give them the things that they need from Congress, to give them the opportunity to be heard from Washington. So we're going to pull up our bootstraps and we're going to make it happen. We've got some great candidates in the 11th Congressional District. We got Salvatore here. Where's Rachel? We got Rachel. Oh, Rachel in the back there. We got Laura here representing Miss Amigos. We have some awesome candidates in this area. When you look up and down the ticket for the Democrats for November, you cannot make a bad choice. They are all awesome candidates. We are proud to wear the Democratic sign. We are proud that we are here to represent you. And I have no doubt that come November 6th, 11th Congressional District will be blue. Now, just a word about some of the things that are passionate for me. I grew up in a school that was literally 3 blocks from the police station. That literally, the police were called every day to come to the school. The kids were getting raped, kids were getting shot, people were selling drugs in our school. If you went somewhere and told them you were from Phillips High School, they shuddered like, oh my God, this is a hoodlum. But what they didn't see was the teachers that we had, how engaged they were with us, how much they cared about us, how well they taught us. And when I look back at some of my classmates, we've had a couple of classmates that were fire chiefs, a couple of classmates that are registered nurses. We have my cousin who is superintendent of Clayton County Schools. You don't see that stuff coming from a school in the hood. But the thing is, we have to understand that our kids, if we prepare them properly, they can be whoever they want to be. There's no ifs, ands, or doubts about it. Like I know Maurice, he always wanted to be an educator, always. For me, I always wanted to be a soldier. We have some guys that always wanted to be a fireman. I've got a classmate who's a 1-star general working at the Pentagon now. You can be whoever you want to be, but it starts with the policies that we set in Washington. A simple policy of free lunch for kids, free breakfast for kids. Kids can't learn if they're worried about what they're going to eat. Kids can't learn if they're worried about being shot at school. Kids can't learn if they know they got to go help mom and dad pay the bills. because mom and dad don't have a living wage. These are policies that we in Washington, that we as constituents of our congressmen or our senators can demand, and we should demand. These are things that we can make happen without a doubt. I always tell everybody, when we put money up front, when we start on the front end, most of the time we don't have to worry about the back end. If we feed young minds, we provide them the books and the teachers to educate them, they don't go to jail. They don't sell drugs. They don't get in trouble. What they do is they go to college or they go to vocational school. They go into the military and get good jobs, being good citizens, providing for this country. And that's what we want for every single young man and woman in this country. The thought of somebody dropping out of school in the 8th grade or the 10th grade, or even before your senior year, because you have to work to make ends meet for your parents, is not a solution. It's not the answer that we should be looking at. If we can't make it better, we are asking ourselves to go down the hall. My staff will tell you that one of my favorite politicians is Robert F. Kennedy. And one of his quotes is, "As long as there is plenty, poverty is crime." And I firmly believe that. In a country like ours, where we literally waste enough food to feed the world, we should not have people going hungry. We should not have people in Flint drinking brown water. We should not have people in Puerto Rico without electricity. We cannot do that to our own countrymen. We have to do better. We have to be prepared to do better. This nation reaches out and helps more people than any other nation in this planet. We are the standard bearer. We are what the world looks to for morals, for ethics. We are the ones that they look to for those things. We can't sit there and let an administration lie to us, placate our enemies, and just flat out try to destroy our institutions. When you tell me the FBI is lying or Central Intelligence Agency is lying, when all news media is fake news, there's only one reason why you're doing that, because you want everybody to believe you. That's not America. This is a democracy for a reason, because everybody has a vote. Everybody has a voice. Everybody can stand up to the administrations when they do not do what we ask them to do. That's why we're all here today, because we're willing to stand up. We're willing to make our voices heard so we can make a difference. I decided to run because all my life I've tried to make a difference. Even when I was little, and my sister, where's my sister? There she is, that's my sister. When my youngest brother was born, my parents left me with my sister and my other brother when they went to the hospital. And I was only 7 years old at the time. And most of you were like, "Oh my God, you left a 7-year-old home with 2 other kids that were younger?" Yeah, they did. But I was taught how to cook. I was taught how to clean them up. And I was taught how to put them to bed. I was taught how to make a difference. In all my life, I've tried to do that. Even in high school, where the school that we went to, everybody was afraid of, every academic competition that was out there, I participated in it. And the only reason was I wanted them to know that we weren't dumb at Phillips High School. Yeah, we were in a city school, right next to the project. Literally, the projects were across the street. Police station was 3 blocks down. But we had a lot of pride in who we were. We had a lot of pride in our education. We had good parents that made sure we got our education. And I got to tell you this one story. My wife told you I played sports. Well, When I played baseball, one day we got our report cards. And I had like 5 A's and 1 B. And everybody was like, oh, your mom's gonna be super proud of you. And I said, no, she's not. And they didn't believe me. I said, okay, all y'all walk home with me. So we walk home, I hand my mom my report card. First words are, why did you get a B in science? And all my boys started laughing because I'd already prepared them for it. But that's the type of parents that we had in our family. Parents that pushed you to be your best, to achieve all that you could achieve. And I couldn't live with myself if I felt that I could make a difference and I didn't try. That's why I'm running. Because we need someone who's willing to stand up and be that voice. Someone who's not going to cower when somebody says, well, if you don't vote for me, we're going to make sure you don't get elected. Well, guess what? You're not the one who elects me. It's my constituents that elect me. And if I vote for something that they don't like, they're not going to elect me. One thing I always told my wife is that every decision I ever make will be in the best interest of our marriage. Every decision, every bill, every vote that I will make in Congress will be the best decision for you, our constituents. I believe in honor. I believe in integrity. I believe in doing my best each and every day. Hopefully, come November 6th, you will pass out the word because you believe in me and you can make others believe in me. And if we do that, I know we can make this blue tide all over Georgia. I don't want to stand up here all day because the other day they told me I talked for 32 minutes and I think I had 10 and I talked for 32. But I just want you to know that I want to be your voice. I want to be the one who stands up for you to make sure that we change the narrative coming out of Washington, that the narrative is no longer hate and divisiveness, that the narrative becomes love, it becomes unity, it becomes movement towards a common goal. And I believe together we can make that happen. I thank you for coming. Let me recognize my team before I step off. I got Marianne, who's our communications director. We've got another Marianne. Is she here? We got another Marianne who works for the communications team. We've got LaDebra. Where's LaDebra? Okay, LaDebra, she's working with our communications team. We have Dory. She's going to work with our over 55 community, making sure we serve them. Is Antoine here? Antoine is our volunteer coordinator. He does all the volunteer stuff. We have Ra. Where's Ra? Ra's outside. He's the one set up as the DJ. He's also with our IT team. And we have Ann. Now, Ann has a special job, okay? We have decided that questions that you have are questions that she comes up with, or like questions Marianne comes up with. If you give those to Marianne or Ann, they will ask me, I will answer, and they will post those questions for you. We've decided to do that at least two to three times a week where we have a question and answer session. So if you get your questions to them, I will answer them to the best that I can. And normally I don't have but a day preparation for the answers, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm one of those people that speak from the heart. So most of the time when I talk to you about things, it's coming from my heart. I don't like using notes. So you barely ever see me using any notes, and I like to move around, as you can tell. But once again, I'd like to thank you for all being here. Thank you for your great work. For those who have volunteered, thank you for your support for everybody else. We're gonna make this happen. We're gonna change the narrative, and we're gonna make sure that Washington understands that We vote because you support what we vote for. And we're going to make it happen. Thank you.
Let's give it up for our congressional representative. The next voice in Washington, D.C., Flynn Broady.
On that table in the back, there is a printout of the answers that Ann elicited and he gave, and you're welcome to take them home and share them with your friends.
Very good.
And there will be more.
Very good. Very good. So we're going to pause. Ra, are we ready for a little music? We'll do a little music, but I want to say this as we get ready to pause because I want us to intermingle and of course you want to talk to your future congressman here.
And we're also going to let other candidates that are here speak a little bit later.
That's correct. That's correct. And so we want you to hang around, enjoy the food, enjoy the music, enjoy each other. But just remember this, as Flynn has already shared, and his position is very clear. I can tell you one thing that he knows that I will do in my role is whatever policy that he considers, I want to know, is it right for everyone? Period. You can't just create a nation where you have a whole bunch of have-nots and a few haves. Because I'm telling you, according to the Bible that I read, that ain't sustainable. And so it's our expectation of him that whatever policy, whatever law, whatever approach, it has to lift all people. All people. It has to be what's right. It has to be what's right. It has to be what's right. And so he knows that we will, you will hold him accountable for that. And one thing I know about him, because I'm the same way, it must be in the DNA. We don't mind folk holding us accountable for doing what is what? Right. What's right. What is right. And if you think about the least of these, and you do what's right, it's amazing. We live in a moral universe. When you do what's right, it always works out for the good. And so you've got a great guy, you've got a great couple here, support them. You've got other candidates that we'll hear from. Ra, we want to start. You want them to speak right now?
Salvatore has to leave, so we're gonna let you.
Come on. Introduce yourself.
I got to go to a wedding, I'm sorry. I'm not getting married. My name is Salvatore Castellano. I'm running for the 35th House seat. We haven't had a challenger on the Democratic side since 2010. So this is really exciting because the guy that's been there since 2005, I think he's from 1940, so backwards. So we're going to beat him. But Flynn was talking about changing the narrative. And not only do we need to change the narrative, we don't need to be afraid to talk to people. I'm going to tell you a little story that happened to me a few weeks ago. I like walking in the woods with my dogs. I go on long trails, long walks with them. And a few weeks ago, I come across this guy, a big white guy, about 38, 40 years old. I say he's about 200, probably about 300 pounds, real big guy. He's wearing a camouflage pants. He has his dog with him. And we start talking. His name's Bobby. And he said that he went in the war, he fought in Iraq, and he likes to shoot his AR-15s. He likes to go wild boar hunting. And all I could be thinking of, this has got to be a Trump supporter. You know, just everything he talked about, guns, hunting, and everything. I figured, you know, I'll just keep my mouth shut about what I'm doing. But he asked me, and I found that he lived in my district too. And he said, what do you do? I said, well, I'm running for office. And he goes, what office? I said, State House 35, where you live. And then the dreaded question, what party are you with? And the first thing I did was to see if I could outrun him. I knew my dogs could, but I didn't know if I could. So I told him Democrat. And he said, good, you got my vote. And my jaw just hit the ground. I said, really? He goes, yeah, I'm gonna vote for you. I said, so you're a Democrat too? He said, well, I don't agree with the Democrats on everything. I disagree with them on the gun issue, but he said, let's face it, the thing that's gonna affect this country in the next few years is income inequality. I was like, oh my God, this guy's so right. I mean, And we became good friends. And I think there's a lot of Bobbies out there. We need to talk to them. Don't be afraid to talk to them. Listen, if you think they're a Trump supporter, talk to them. Don't be ashamed of what we stand for. Because right now, income inequality is a big issue. Back in 1928, the top 1% controlled 24% of the money. And now, today, they control 22%. Economists are saying in the next year with the tax cuts, it could be 25%. 1% of the population controlling 1/4 of our money. That's not good. That's an oligarchy, and that's scary. And those are the issues we need to let people know that we're fighting for. We're fighting for them. We're fighting for health care. We're fighting for sensible gun control. We're fighting for workers' rights. With the Supreme Court on the edge of turning very conservative, States to speak up for our rights. So please support down candidates for this time here. First candidate in the store. We talked a long time. He said, no, we're so happy that candidate here. You know, we're all on the other side. And yes, Kelly and I got cussed out on one hand. They threw us out. To know there's one person out there that really is proud that Canada will come out there and talk to. You know, talk to people. Only change the narrative. We need people to come out and save Georgia, suppressing votes. Speak. All the voter rolls, people that didn't vote before 2014 are not since 2014. So get out there, talk to people, and support the down ballot.
Okay. Well, get to know someone, talk to your candidates that are here, and let's listen to the music and enjoy the food. We'll be back shortly.